Hi folks, how you doing? So today is the 1st of September 2022 and I gotta do a little bit of shopping for a few things, but I thought I'd do another video to edify the church whilst I'm here, so why not? I was just at my favorite Chinese restaurant and I was thinking to myself, gee whiz, what can I talk about today? I was reading for the last 2 days the book of Hebrews in the Bible. I actually suggest that you guys that read the book of Hebrews. It will actually be quite invigorating for you guys. There's a lot of meat there, and I think that I'm gonna probably be doing a video on that soon anyway for my channel here. But nonetheless, since we're on the 1st of September, perhaps we can talk about a possible rapture of the church during Yom Teruah. We know that Yom Teruah, or the Feast of Trumpets, is going to be on the 25th to 27th of September, so at the back end of this month. And I'm pretty sure that you guys know what I'm going to say here. Exactly. So I just think that Israel has run out of time, to be honest, folks. I always talk about how there are 4 major Bible prophecies impending and in front before the rapture of the church, as in Isaiah 17.1, the Elam Bible prophecy in Jeremiah 49, obviously the Ezequiel word of 38:39, and Daniel's 9:27 covenant, or Isaiah 28:15. So obviously there's more than 4. If you watch my video that I did entitled "I'm handing over to you the keys to the rapture of the church," in that video, I discussed all the major Bible prophecies that I needed, before the rapture of the church. So it's a good video to watch. Completely led by the Holy Spirit on that one. So, to be quite honest, out of respect for Yom Teruah, or the Feast of Trumpets, I'm gonna say that we got perhaps a 10% chance for the rapture of the church, only as a respect for this feast, but not in my opinion, to be quite honest with you. In my opinion, unless these 4 are fulfilled, then I just don't think that the rapture of the church can happen, because then the tribulation period is going to look very messy, folks. Suppose we have the rapture of the church tomorrow, right, for argument's sake. So that means that we are immediately into the trib tomorrow, and how can the true witnesses deal with the nation of Israel making the atonement if Israel hasn't fulfilled any of these 4? And say, for argument's sake, stick with me here that we got the rapture tomorrow, and Israel hasn't fulfilled Isaiah, Elam, Ezekiel 38, and these 3 are going to take quite a while to fulfill. And so that means that the tribulation period is going to be longer than the 7 years that has been prophesied. And also, you guys know that I don't believe in a gap theory, because we know that as soon as the Antichrist shows up with Israel's covenant, bang, rapture of the church, we're immediately into the dispensation of the tribulation period. So I don't believe in a gap theory. I believe that we're going to go from one dispensation to the next. And also, for people that believe in a gap theory, then you also have to remember that the book of Revelation is pretty much a precise book that tells us what's going to happen during the trib and the millennial kingdom. And also there's in there you won't find any prophecy saying that there is any gap theory or whatever. And also you won't find any end-time Bible prophecies that talks about any gap theory whatsoever. We know that it's 1260 plus 1260, in other words 3.5 plus 3.5, because we know that the man of sin is going to die after he's done his 3.5 years, and then Satan is going to reincarnate into the man of sin, and then for another 1260 days or 3.5 years, and then we'll come back with Jesus for the battle of Armageddon. And God is going to put the false prophet and the Antichrist into the lake of fire and brimstone. So we know that is precisely 1260 and 1260. So I don't believe, because of this reason, that there is any gap theory. We're just going to go straight into the next dispensation when the rapture of the church happens. And like I just mentioned, there is no Bible prophecy or end-time Bible prophecies that says there's going to be a gap theory. Not for that matter, that's the book of Revelation talk about any gap theory or whatsoever, or that there are any prophecies involved in these. So I don't really believe in gap theories, to be quite honest, but some Bible scholars do. But anyway, so yeah, like I was saying, I just don't think that practically Israel has run out of time to fulfill the four. Perhaps they can do one or maybe two. Two will be a bit of a tough ask. Perhaps they can do Elam, because Elam is red hot at the moment. We know that Iran is provoking Israel's, and we know that this nuclear program is not going to go anywhere. So perhaps Israel could fulfill Elam first, and then who knows, I might do Isaiah, or maybe Isaiah first, and then Elam. We'll see how it opens out, but obviously once one of these prophecies is fulfilled, it's going to be a domino effect of the rapture of the church. But even so, we've got to allow time for all this to happen. So in my opinion, the rapture of the church could probably, I don't think it's going to happen this year, but it could. But I think it's going to be a very tight schedule to fit all these four impending Bible prophecies to be all out of the way by the end of the year. I think we might be looking at January to February 2023 next year. And I think it has to happen then, because we got Psalm 90 knocking on the door. We got Psalm 90, which executes the parable of the fig tree found in Matthew chapter 24, Matthew 24, verses 32 to 34. So, Jesus' parable of the fig tree. So, that's two are knocking on the door, working in conjunction. And, Israel is already 74. So in order to fulfill this prophecy, like Jesus said, to all be fulfilled. So it's got to happen soon, folks. And also what's knocking on the door now is a financial crisis in America as well. Could we have Klaus Schwab Great Reset? Let me ask you guys this question. I think, in my view, we're going to have this great reset during the trip, because I think it'll make perfect sense then, once you have the great reset, that you can introduce, the mark of the beast simultaneously, because the world economy has collapsed, and, the Antichrist can come and say, hey, you need the mark of the beast in order to buy and sell. And so I think that, these two will work in conjunction pretty well. Could it happen during the church age? We'll see. I think that in the next few months, once Europe goes into winter, it's going to be a very testing time for Europe, because Russia has cut off the gas supply to European countries, so they're going to be suffering from a lot of cold, and a lot of shops are going to be closing down, because, especially restaurants, because if it's cold weather, how they're going to open, and they have no gas practically to function. So we might see Israel fulfilling the supply issue, if you like, of gas into Europe, and this will probably cause the Civil War. So we'll just have to see how it opens out. But no gas supply from Russia to Europe in winter, that's going to cause a big crash to the European economy, a huge crash. It has the potential to cause the Great Reset unless Israel comes to the rescue. But I think Israel will, and then this will cause a Civil War, and then after the Civil War, the Antichrist will pop up, and then we'll have the rapture of the church. So it will trigger the prophecy in Paul in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3, that the man of sin shows up. Obviously, we've got the apostasy already, with the signature of Israel. Bang, rapture of the church, see you later, beginning of the trip. So I think that this in winter is really going to be a very testing time for this Ezequiel 38, 39 now. But there's a lot of talk about Hezbollah, causing issues, in southern Lebanon, causing headaches for Israel, if you like. Now, I don't see Hezbollah going into war with Israel, mainly because I think that Hezbollah will side what they got for this great northern war. That was Ezequiel 38, 39. If they were to have a war now with Israel, if they were to be silly enough to go into war with Israel now, then Israel can annihilate them pretty easily. And so, come Ezekiel 38, 39, they're not going to have nothing to show for. So I think this is all a little bit of bit of a show from Hezbollah, but and I think they're also doing this because Israel has what do you call it? Has offshore. I guess offshore gas installation there. I'm not sure how you call this in English, but I think Lebanon is getting into a little bit of a beef, with Israel because I think that gas also belongs to them, So, but yeah, Israel has some kind of offshore, some sort of gas. What do you call it? Extraction system or whatever. I'm not sure what the word in English is. So, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Some kind of refinery offshore or whatever. You guys seen on the news here, the Lebanese are, complaining, about this, but that's all part of the land of Israel. All that gas belongs to Israel. But anyway, we'll see how it all pans out. I think that probably by January to February, we might have the rapture of the church. I think the main thing is for people to believe in the gospel of salvation, found in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 1 to 4. Here Jesus died on the cross and that he was buried and rose again on the third day according to the scriptures. So all of us have to believe this by faith, and I said this for any newcomers to my videos here, so that you are saved and sealed with the Holy Spirit, rapture ready and heaven bound. So time is of the essence. Like I said on top of my video, Psalm 90 is knocking on the door. Israel is already 74. So sure enough, perhaps by although I'm not setting a date, perhaps by January, February, we might see the rapture of the church. So we'll see how all this pans out, folks. With that said, I gotta go and do a little bit of shopping. And in summary, I don't think the rapture of the church will happen. Israel hasn't fulfilled any of the four, like not even one yet. So I just can't see it, because unless we do a clean sweep of these four, so that Israel can be on a clean slide, at the trip, so that God can make the atonement during the trip, with Israel by sending the true witnesses. I just can't see the rapture of the church happening. I think that more time is needed for this fulfillment. So all right, folks, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.